stream better. Just now I don't have to eat. All right, now let me share it. I think I tag you in it, so you should see it.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2.
There it comes.
Yes, we are back. Again, a day early, so people ain't expecting. Let me make sure I share it. On my personal page. We're live.
What do you think about the Senate appointment?
Which one?
Enfield, that's the only one that people talk about, dog. Give me an honest opinion, Greg.
I so stress out. Not stress out. Let me take that back. I don't get stressed over some foolishness. I am disappointed that my Bahamian people lack comprehension skills.
Okay.
And we have become so bipolar that we don't understand nuances.
Okay.
Right? Everything for us is black or white. And we completely ignore the gray area. So I say that to say, I've seen the back and forth online with that situation.
Yeah.
And all I've seen is either people riding hard for Renard, despite and not paying attention to the nuances and why people feel a certain way.
Right.
And I've seen a mix. Well, I've seen them accusing people of being mad, but I haven't seen many mad people. I've seen a lot of disappointed people,
right.
And I am one of those disappointed people. And I'm not and see what they do is they try and twist your words and they try to tell you why you quote unquote mad or disappointed. They think you mad because he become a senator. No. What I am disappointed at is I recognize that for most Bahamians, perception is everything, and perception is reality. It don't matter what a situation actually is. It's what they perceive it to be.
Right.
And he made some moves that gave a bad perception, right? Because the whole time it was supposed to be apolitical, non-partisan, no political party, no endorsement, no nothing. Independent, you had PLPs, FNMs, DNAs, independents, everybody coming together.
Right.
And when you say, you threaten the government and say, well, if y'all don't do what we want, we can endorse another party. Then you pull back and say, well, no, we ain't going to endorse no party.
Right.
Then you come back with a FNM hat and a we march straight and endorsing the FNM. Now, you could say, you're a lawyer. I know you can twist words and say, well, no, I did not endorse the FNM. I endorsed Hubert Minutes. Well, sir, in our system, you cannot endorse Hubert Minutes without endorsing the FNM.
Exactly.
Because not everyone can vote for Hubert Minutes.
He's the leader of the party.
So if you endorse him as prime minister or leader, you are then endorsing the FNM to become the governing party because that's the only way he's going to become prime minister.
Yes.
So you don't try and now play possum and pull back and be like, well, I ain't endorsed the FNM. And you say, this is me personally. What you have to understand is that you are the face of this organization.
Exactly.
You are the face.
Yep. Whether
you like it or not. That's no longer up to you.
And that's what he positioned himself.
Yes, that's no longer up to you.
Yep.
So if you could say, well, I did this as a personal, fine. You're a grown man. You can do whatever you want to do. But understand how it looks.
Yep.
And understand that people are going to tie that to We March. Especially, and don't talk, but you have on an FNM hat and a We March shirt.
Yep.
And not only did you do that, but you took another picture with the shirt and the hat on top of the shirt.
Yeah.
So don't say, well, these two don't go together. We March is a separate entity from the FNM. Why are you putting these paraphernalia together?
Exactly.
So don't do these subliminal things and try and act like crazy when people ask you about it. You understand? So my thing is, I was just disappointed with the mixed messages. And you saying one thing and then your actions contradicting it. Because you have been saying the whole time you don't have political aspirations. You don't want to be involved in politics. You want to remain independent. Then you accept a Senate appointment from the leader of the FNM, Hubert Minutes. So I don't like the mixed messages and the contradictions in terms of from your statements to your actions. So if this was what you wanted or this was what you decide, be straight up. Be upfront, be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't try play and hide and try and duck behind and be like, well, no, it wasn't. No, man, be real. Just say it.
I don't like, my disappointment and my frustration came from the fact that people trusted him.
Yes.
And he and the We March organization was a conduit for the Bahamian frustration with the political party at the time, the administration, the PLP. Now that momentum for activism, that awareness for activism, that it's been destroyed.
Yes,
it has been destroyed, and it'll take so much for the people to trust.
Yeah, because you've betrayed people's trust.
Yeah. And even if it's not him or We March, for anybody to say they go on to march or protest against a government, you know how much goes into that. You know how ripe that momentum was. And for me, I felt that he was disingenuous from the jump. I saw that he had political aspirations, and when I vented it, people came at me, and I was like, you know what? Okay, you can see in time. And now it's like, you know what? I don't want to say, yep, I told y'all niggas so. But it's just what you see, you know.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and I agree. And what makes it worse is the members of the PLP and somebody said that I really not fans of said this. You know what I mean?
Them right.
And you basically prove Fred Mitchell and everyone else.
Because Bradley Roberts was
right.
on the front page today. He said, "Look, the We March was a complete fraud and farce. And you can't argue with him because look what happened.
The actions.
Yeah.
It's the actions. And as I say, it don't even have to be the case, you know.
No.
Maybe I truly believe that in the beginning, he was well-intentioned and he did mean all of those things he was saying in the beginning. That's me. That's what I feel.
You give him the benefit of the doubt.
I given him the benefit of the doubt. And I think along the way, I think it took off to a level to what he didn't anticipate. And he started to get caught up in that the new level that it was at. And now it's taken on a whole new, he's taken on a whole new identity.
I read the tea leaves. Early on when, and we invited him to talk to the demographic.
I did as well.
The demographic thing, he refused to come on because he's like, we ain't important or whatever the case may be. And this is Hot 91.7.
Well, no. What did he exactly say? I know he didn't say you ain't important.
Not important, but you pretty much brush us off like we don't need that demographic or platform or whatever the case may be, right?
Oh, you mean this is prior to the march?
This is before the very first
I
one.
remember that.
Because we wanted to help bring awareness to it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And push the message because initially, that was something I wanted to get behind, like really wanted. And then after that, I was like, okay, let's look at this. And then someone that I respect as well, John Boswick, jumped on and campaigned and championed it or whatever. And I said, okay, let me listen to John. And he was making sense. And I went out there and supported the very first march, right? And then the unions jumped in. And then the demands came. The ultimatums came. You had an audience with the Prime Minister. You want the members of Parliament to talk to you, and these are your issues, but you don't want to talk to them. You turn your back on them. Like, what are you really trying to do? You know, and I sat back and I analyzed and I looked at each press release. I looked at each demand, and I was like, this boy want political office. This is a political movement. Let me step back. And eventually I saw other people that was heavy into it stepping back as well, and I was like, okay, something's going on.
Something's up, yeah.
And I saw him wield We March as this sword to get his way, and now he does. And the people think, for me, the Senate doesn't have any money, so it's not a financial thing.
Oh, definitely not.
Prior to I think right after the election, the FNM had won, he was like, you know what, I want my program, Our Carmichael, to be expanded into things. So thus replacing urban renewal or morphing urban renewal into Our Carmichael, right? Which takes money, right? Which takes the government money. So if I see that happening, I could have a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Because I feel that there are enough people, activists and social workers or whatever, to fix the urban renewal project to what it should be, right? I don't think we need to abandon it and bring on some new culture that benefits one person. You understand what I'm saying? And then also I will be watching very carefully the executive board appointments, whether it be gaming board or all these other chairmanships and all this other stuff. And you'll see. You'll see just how he's rewarded. You know, and then also you'll see if any bill that comes in and is passed in the House of Assembly, because every bill will pass, It's impossible for it not to pass.
Jeez, with those numbers.
When it comes to the Senate,
Yeah.
I want to see how he votes, what he says, and if it's a bill that is not beneficial to the Bahamian people, we can see.
Yeah, so that's essentially what, like, how I feel on the situation is wait and see. But what really got me was, like, I mean, just seeing the dialogue between people on Facebook, and it's like people really, really don't understand. We have a comprehension issue in this country. It's like simple nuances people don't get, and like they don't accept. It's like really we have become a bipolar nation. It's either one extreme or the other.
Yeah,
we don't pay attention to the.
It's been crafted that way, Greg.
Yeah,
and that's why these two factions will continue to thrive and survive, and their joint political homes will thrive. Yeah. So, I mean, if the PLP does rebrand itself and makes the move that I think that they will make, I see it taking the next government, because it'll be, it's not what the FNM did, it's what they didn't do, and so we could do it better, and we could promise this and do whatever. So it'll be interesting. It'll always be a back and forth. We set up ourselves for that back and forth. Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But let me get into. I finished sharing so we could get into today's actual topic. That was a nice pre-show discussion. So for those that are tuning in, you get a little pre-show discussion, because a lot of people talking about politics today. Parliament is opening.
Yep.
The first new parliament, this new administration is opening
the budget
today. So a lot of people were talking about politics today. But let me start recording so we can get started one time. So the new parliament opened today. So that's been the discussion on many, I guess, talk shows or any other shows. People have been discussing Parliament and the new government and all of that. But there was a very, very, very significant issue that happened yesterday. And I think is endemic of what our society has now become, what we represent, and what we don't like to discuss. And that is how our youth have been misguided. And what they now turn to survive in this society, which is violence in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And
for those that don't know, there was a armed robbery of, I think it was the QVS pharmacy in the Seagraves Plaza, which is right around the corner from me. And I think it was all of them, if I'm not mistaken, 4 teenagers that were in school uniform, still in uniform from what I understand.
Just catch the 15 and jump off and go and do foolishness.
Still in school uniform from what I understand, right? 4 teenagers. I think, I know one was shot and killed for sure.
Yeah, the 10th grader from Ironville.
10th grade.
Yeah.
You know how old I was in 10th grade, Jay?
I think 14. I think I have the thing on my phone, though.
So, yeah, that one 10th grader shot and killed on the scene. I think there was another one that was injured.
There was another one that was arrested, then there was another one accosted from the bush. I don't know if they caught the other 3. I don't know if the one was injured, but I know one had a headshot.
Headshot?
Yeah.
Woo!
And then one was arrested at the scene, and then another one was accosted a little while later and hiding in the bushes.
And the interesting thing is, I know a lot of people were upset about the Tribune headline discussing the issue. Well, they had big headlines. I think it was to the tune of police murder teens stealing cigarettes or something. So it was almost
as if that it was an unjustifiable shooting.
Right. It was almost like they were vilifying the police for killing I wouldn't say innocent, but a teen that, committed a petty crime.
See, for me, I still don't know all the information, so I have to allow the police to carry out their investigation. Now, anybody, I don't care if you are a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, if you brandish a handgun and point it at a police officer, he will shoot you.
Yes.
Right? No hiccups about it, and I have no qualms about that. So if that was the case, I stand behind the police. You understand? Because firearms are illegal in this country, and what is
handguns?
Handguns are illegal in this country. So
and
what is
some other ones? Yeah,
and what is a 15-year-old doing with one?
So the one that died was 15.
I think it was 15. I have to look at the press release from the Ministry of Education. I'll check it out right now.
But yeah, so it was almost like they were vilifying the police in this situation. And I guess it was, to grab headlines, maybe sell newspapers, whatever their reasoning is. A lot of people were upset about it, and they were expressing their disappointment in the Tribune for, framing it the way they framed it.
Yeah, but
that's unfortunately the nature of, the environment we're in now.
Yeah.
It's all about those, what we consider to be now clickbait, just getting those eyes so that they can sell papers or make money. But I want to get to...
Yeah, they didn't say his age. It's just 10th grade student.
Just 10th grade student.
Not
Okay.
really.
Well, we could guess
Say
just around
14,
15.
15,
Yeah, because I was 14 in
Yeah, I
10th
graduated
grade.
at 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 14.
I think most people graduate at 17,
16,
in the
17,
Bahamas. So more than likely he was about 14, 15 years old. So 14, 15 years old. Jay, and for what I understand, went in and there was an eyewitness that said they were actually trying to tie up customers. So they didn't only rob the store, but I think they robbed the customers in the store.
They did.
And they were trying, one eyewitness said that they were trying to tie him up, but they couldn't get him tied up. So
was you watching playing Grand Theft Auto too much?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the criminal movies, but these are teenagers running in a store trying to tie up people and rob them. Crystal Clinton says 15 years old. So tie up people and rob them. And I think you expressed, before we started the show, your displeasure with people taking issue with saying that, their reaction is that they were supposed to be in school or something like that.
And the problem goes much deeper. Yes, they should have been in school, right? But my thing is, you don't go from 0 to 100 real quick, right? And we had on our show this morning, we talked about it a little bit, and me and Sino, we came to this conclusion that, you know what, just because this kid was caught in a criminal act, that may not have led a life in crime, because a lot of kids, they get following niggas get caught up in really bad situation and escalate quickly. And this could have been one of those situations. I don't know the case behind this kid, but just say he had issues leading up to this. Maybe he ducked school regularly. You know what I mean? Maybe he wasn't attending in class. Maybe because of social promotion problem. Because here's the thing, we develop, whether we want to agree with this or not, we produce these type of individuals because if someone is only manufactured with A, B, and C, they will never see the options of D, E, F, G. Right? So I say that to say, and this is not attack on the teachers, but a lot of them need to wake up. A lot of them take responsibility for what they're doing. A lot of these teachers pass on these kids, give up on these kids, and continue to pass them on and take the easy route. I understand your profession is already hard. Yeah. And if you, I don't know if you got to get together with the union and force the ministry to make certain changes to help you guys, but education has grown, and we got a call from one teacher that says, you know what, she sees the deficiencies, and she's trying to go off and better herself and equip herself to come back and help make those changes. You know what I mean? And I think we need a lot more of people like that, instead of people saying, you know what, this is an easy profession to get in. I could get a grant to go to school, and then I could get out and I get a government job, and then I get nice pension or whatever, and I can coast. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel that that's where we're at with that. And it's such a it's a very complex situation.
Yes, it is. And that's what I don't like is, especially in this country, what we tend to do is we try and tie it down to one or two reasons as to why it happened when it's multifaceted, right? And we don't pay attention to the root cause of the issue. A lot of people instantly go to treating the symptoms, right? Oh, you got to hang him. Well, oh, that's good. You need to kill him. Oh, shoot him. You know, understand? They go to the end result and the punishment, or they really start from the beginning. And like you said earlier, saying that he may not have lived the life of a criminal or a crime, right? He may have just found himself in a bad situation. I heard people on the talk show saying this morning, well, they were like, man, you all surprised? This ain't nothing new. This was a gang initiation. And I was like, what? This was a gang initiation? So it very well could have been that situation where
it could have been.
He may have been, a well-behaved person that got caught up with the wrong crowd and been influenced to get involved in this situation. Right. And we don't ever, let me not say we don't ever, but we rarely take these things into consideration when we're putting together analysis, right? Because I am a problem solver. I'm a person that wants to fix the issue as opposed to just, because a lot of people, they just finger point us. Right. They just want to find somebody to blame, right? But I rather solve the problem. So how did not just the one that got killed, but how did these 4 young men and the many young men in this country that find themselves in similar situations or leading lives of crime, how do they get there? We rarely ever pay attention to that journey.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, tell me what your thoughts on it.
Based on the conversation we had with the teacher this morning, she pretty much said they have these, I can't remember, truant officers that deal with attendance of students, right? Truancy officers.
Right.
And the experience from this particular officer, she would go in and alert the parents that, hey, your kid is missing from school or has been missing X, Y amount of days. The parent would come, well, she says she been to school. So I don't know.
What?
So that's one thing. So parents aren't doing their jobs and making sure their kids go to school and receive a certain. So that aspect of it is done, right? The teachers are overworked. Their class sizes are so large. You mix in the different types, because children nowadays learn differently.
Yes.
Some children don't respond well to books. Some are more technically inclined. So we need to really stream these kids and help them to find their niche and how they learn so they could be productive citizens. I think we need to strip away all these extracurriculars, like I mean, if someone isn't interested in Spanish, it makes sense making them do Spanish and let them get an F and then frustrated with the entire process. Concentrate on mathematics, English studies, possibly some history, right? Because I think everybody needs
Bahamian history at that.
Yeah, Bahamian history at that. And maybe some sort of social class to help them to learn to adjust. And outside of that, if you're interested, if you're good with your hands, put them in classes like masonry. And I'm not talking about the surface stuff or a mix of cement. No. Give them phase 1. So if they decide to come out of school and they could go straight into the workforce and work their way to enhance themselves. Right. Give them something so they could survive. Yeah. I think we put too many of these kids out. So you putting out 6,000 kids a year. That's graduate, right? Half of them leave with leaving certificate. Leaving certificate.
Thank you for showing up.
Below the 1-point average, can't function, right? 10 years later, we have 30,000 people that can't function are unemployed. Yeah. 26 and under. What do we do? So we're creating this problem by not getting a handle on it. And I mean, if you have to hit the reset button, hit the reset button. Stop giving people who come to social services just to get a check. Some of them manipulating the system, and their kids aren't performing well in school, or their kids aren't going to school.
And on that education front, and I was going to say, it's a matter of us being stubborn, right? We want to be stuck with the old way of, and this is why tradition is so powerful. Tradition is extremely powerful, my brother. People default to the tradition without even questioning why. Because this is just the way it's been done. And so like you were saying earlier, right? If the children are not thriving or not interested in certain areas, why are we forcing them to do it when we see that this is not their strength or something that's likely not going to benefit them?
And what they're not going to use in their everyday life.
That's what I'm saying.
People need to learn how to manage money. So have a business mathematics class. Right? And you could that could be a subject in mathematics, right? English and history and all that stuff, reading comprehension, and you understand? And then
stuff you can use
of life mechanics. I don't care what you call it, family life mechanics, it doesn't matter. Let them concentrate on that between, I would dare say, as early as the 8th grade, moving up. Let the 7th grade be an introduction into junior and senior life, because a lot of kids lose their way, especially males, when they convert from primary education to the secondary, the junior high and secondary, and that's where you lose them.
Yeah, and you know what, I've always advocated for removing a lot of the things that we don't, because listen, I say all the time, I don't remember at least 85 to 90% of what was taught to me in high school. Right? So there are a lot of things that they teach us in school that we hardly, if ever, apply in real life. So I've always been an advocate for school should be where we prepare students for life. Because right now, school isn't preparing students for life.
No, they're not.
Schools are preparing students to take exams.
Exactly. And get numbers so we could get grants and we could get certain things. And,
that's what they are preparing you for BGCSE, BJC, whatever examination it is. They're preparing you for those exams. That's all they prepare you for. I always say that we should be preparing them for life. So like you said, let's teach them about, and we could use, I don't know why we don't use real life examples, but so, like you say, finance, commerce, money management, budgeting, all these things. You should, okay, teach them what is a mortgage. Teach them how percentages work when it comes to mortgages. Teach them about loans.
Make them masters of these things. Yes.
And you don't have to do it the boring, technical way, right?
No.
You could do it with real life scenarios. Okay, how much people in here want a Honda on 20s? What year? 2016. Okay, you want a 2016 Honda on 20s. You already have them engaged because these are the things they already thinking about. They want these things. They think about it. Okay, so let's think about this. All right, you want a Honda on 20s. All right. 2017 Honda Accord can cost you $30,000. Your rims cost $5,000, right? So how much you gonna have to get a loan? You gonna need to be making this amount to qualify. With this percentage, you can end up paying the bank this amount of money back for your fresh Honda, right? So just things like this. Just use real life examples to teach them about real life scenarios. Prepare them for life. And we ain't doing that. This is why a lot of people probably get shell shocked or surprised when they get out of school and recognize, but what the hell I was doing in school, because there's nothing like real life.
Yeah, and look at the different things, like even if it's reading comprehension or analysis and looking at the subject and thesis of film, right? You have so many great films that I think these kids could learn life lessons from. Have them say, okay, how about this project? They go and watch the Matrix trilogy and give me a report on what you think and how this applies in the 21st century Bahamas, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be it'll be interesting to see.
Yes, you got to make it interesting, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, get them engaged. I think students are not engaged because we are following the same system for, I can't date it, how far back it go, but I know it ain't changed from I was in school, I sure from my parents was in school, so I would dare to say that it goes back at least 40 to 50 years, this system that we have been operating under, and this old chalkboard, it's like everybody, I would go out on a limb and say at least 70% of our population at least have one smart device. One smart, and that's, let's say from ages 12 to
go lower.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could go lower, but if we say from 12 to 70, I could say at least 70% have smart devices. So why are we still using the same methods from back in the 60s, 70s, 80s when our entire environment, our entire life, everything has changed, but we still operating on the same system when it comes to building a foundation for citizens, and that's the education. Why don't we have tablets, more computers, more digital devices? Why isn't typing mandatory or something, like where you use digital, why these devices are mandatory? Like, I asked the question, why they teach us to write in cursive when every form that you fill out after school asks you to print? Where have you ever written in cursive in your adult life for something professional?
Never.
So why are we learning this? You understand? It's like we are wasting time in school, wasting valuable time. And what I want to do, what I would like to do, is replace these obsolete things that they are teaching,
break the wheel,
with things that we can use to benefit us as a whole society. So it's always been things like conflict resolution, etiquette, and professionalism.
Yes.
And I just thought of one today, which is important because I think a lot of people lack it, which is emotional intelligence. We don't have emotional intelligence in this country. We don't know how to react to our emotions in situations. We don't know how to control our emotions. We don't know how to deal with our emotions, which is why we have all of this violence and all these unnecessary things taking place. We don't know how to deal with situations on an emotional level. So why don't we have an emotional intelligence class in school? Why not? Where we teach them how to manage their emotions in certain situations.
You know why?
Tell me why.
Because if you are not trained in emotional intelligence, when you become 18 and you're a voter, we can manipulate your emotions for our benefit.
That makes sense.
It's all a grand scheme, end game situation, you know.
But that's sad.
We only produce a functioning product so they could eat and sleep. And then when it comes time to manipulate, we could dangle the carrot. We could get you some good jobs, X, Y, Z, A, B, C. We don't want a woken society. It is not beneficial to any government, anybody that wants to manipulate, whether it be government or corporate, it's not beneficial to them.
And that's the thing. They don't see it as beneficial, but that's because they are very myopic in their thinking, right? They small-minded, small scope, immediate, right in front of them kind of thinking. They don't think on a macro level. They don't think large scale, because informed populace benefits you, benefits everyone. Because now you can have a thriving economy, because now we are able to think critically. We think for ourselves. We become more independent. You have more people starting
higher
their
proficiency levels.
Yeah, they perform their jobs better. You have more people starting their own businesses. You would have a more functional society. You wouldn't have so much violence. And everyone benefits from a less violent, more productive society.
I agree.
You understand? So, but they don't see it that way. They see it as we keep them dumb so we can easily manipulate them.
Yeah, and education is one aspect. Now you got to go to the home.
And that's what I want to get to, the social aspect.
Yeah, and we, and I said this morning, I said we as personalities in the community, we have to take a certain level of responsibility, because some of these kids, a lot of these kids look up to people like us, and I think we have to do a better job of engaging. So I'm personally going to reach out to Jeff Lloyd, who used to work at STAR, Minister of Education now, and Michael Pintard, a fellow creative in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and I'm thinking maybe we could create some sort of forum where we hit these schools, because I think these kids aren't being listened to. Exactly. They aren't being talked and having healthy conversations. So I think having a listening tour where
they're being spoken at.
Right. Where we take the 10th graders and have a forum. I don't care if they have art or PE or whatever. We go in a decent room or lock down in a foyer or whatever, and we sit down and we listen to the kids and we answer certain questions in a real type of way. No type of consequences, I guess, where they can really get things off their chest.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they get it at home.
Yes, I agree.
I don't think there's enough great teachers or anymore where they could confide in their teachers. Yeah. Because they don't want
that relationship isn't there.
Right. So I think we as personalities, regardless of where you're from, whether you're in the media or whoever, as long as you have influence, I think we need to take a more hands-on role in helping to change this curve.
And I agree with that, and I think that'll be a good initiative, because let's be honest, and we all know it, we all recognize that we have a parental breakdown in this society, right? The home is broken, big time.
Yeah, it's
and I'm not just speaking of, how a lot of people like to say, well, because both parents and the mother and dad. No. Sure, that's a part of it, but that's not the complete picture.
My dad was not at home, and our household functioned fine. Right?
So I understand how it benefits, because listen, by being a parent ain't easy.
No, it's hard.
And boy, look here, we have in my household, both parents are there. Me and my companion are there with one child, and I can tell you it's rough. We have one child and two parents, and it's rough. So I could only imagine what the one parent with 3, 4, 5 children goes through on an everyday basis. And we ain't empathetic to those situations. We just want to point, and this is our problem with this society and why we don't ever fix things. We so judgmental. We too good. Everybody want to get up on their soapbox and point fingers. Oh, these bad parents, they ain't doing their job. They falling down. Okay, congratulations. Let me give you a round of applause. You have identified that someone is struggling. Now what you can do to help?
Okay. Now, let me just say this. I understand parenting is hard, and just like you said, it's a full-time job, but you accept that responsibility. Yes. Both you and your partner do, and you do a great job, right? My mother, decided that she was going to be a parent to her 4 kids that are kind of in the same age grouping, right? So you have 4 bad little children. We weren't bad kids.
Every child bad. in the Bahamas.
We were decent
We
kids.
just consider every child bad because what we consider a good child is a damn robot. It don't exist. We expect a child to sit down, be quiet, take orders exactly how I give them to you, follow my instructions. That's a damn robot. And so anybody that falls outside of that is a bad child in the Bahamas, according to what we consider being bad or rude, which is unrealistic and ridiculous.
Yeah, but she took on the parent role in every way, shape, and form. She went out there and she hustled. She did her job at work, and when she came home, work continued because she sat with each of us to made sure that we were on course during our primary and high school careers. When we became adults, that discipline was so entrenched with us, we carried that forward. You understand? I honestly feel that too many people are being adults with children, but not parents.
Hold on now. Now, this way we may get into something. Explain that to me. What you mean? Give me examples.
I think so many people still have their selfish young adult ways and not have flipped the maternal switch to say, you know what? This is my responsibility 100%, and I have to make sure nurture this child or these children to become functioning, productive citizens. I think too many people are still, oh, well, I could get Grammy to watch the shot because I got to go to the club.
Okay,
or I could throw my child on somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you have so many grandparents who don't have the energy to put into the kids like how they put into their children. And those kids are falling through the cracks because some of them feel abandoned by their parents. Be like, why my mommy don't love me?
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So these are different things. So people have to turn on that switch. I know it's hard. I know the struggle. I know about eating yellow grits and cream and stuff like that. As dinner. So I know, but that back then. Imagine now. So I know it's hard. I'm not trying to paint a fallacy, but at the end of the day, you have in the struggle when you get down. If you are really, really looking at an end game, it will pay off.
Yeah, but I agree completely with what you just said. What it is to keep it raw. People like raw dog, but don't want to accept the consequences of raw dog.
No,
I can tell you now. Being a parent is the most difficult and demanding occupation you could ever have in life. But people want to have the fun when they doing what they're doing, wherever they're doing it, right?
Skinning and winning.
When they want skin, they want to enjoy it. Oh, that feel good.
Jesus!
And then when the result of skinning presents itself, you are now, boy, I don't know if
I ain't ready for that.
I can't deal with this. Well, you didn't think about that when you were skinning. So we have to be responsible adults, and either you can take the necessary precautions to not get yourself pregnant, or be willing to accept the responsibility of your actions. You understand?
And here's the thing, and I look at, Gail said that I'm exposed to the white community, right?
She said Caucasian.
The Caucasian community, right? And there's a lot of planning, and a lot of them make decisions early in life and say, you know what, I honestly don't want kids.
Right.
Right? And if that is your decision and you honestly think that that's what you're going to do, then do it, have a vasectomy and skin away. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, if you did, well, even then, I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but a vasectomy, that's permanent.
I know.
That's a permanent decision. But sometimes, like, let's say we feel one way in life at one point.
Right.
And then down the line, you may feel another way. So while I don't disagree with it, I would suggest other methods because there are many ways to prevent it, right?
Yeah.
So because you never know down the line, you may be like, mother sick. Now I want to have one little youth.
Now, and here's the thing. There are thousands of little youths in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that need homes.
That is true.
Adoption is a real option, and guess what? You don't have to have the same DNA in a child to impact their life and bring them up as their own. They don't never have to know that you're not their father or mother or whatever. If you want to impact that wisdom on them and have them have a relationship with their biological baby down the line, they don't have to know that.
That is true.
They don't know the difference.
And what's interesting about that? What you brought up, why don't we hear more or see more adoption in the Bahamas? Like, you have any idea of the adoption rates?
I
in
have
the
no
Bahamas?
idea. I have no idea what it is, but I know it does exist. When I was younger, when I was in a Seventh-day Adventist church, I knew of a young girl that was adopted, and you wouldn't have known that wasn't weren't her biological parents.
Because I think maybe we need to, and I never really thought about it like this, but maybe we should promote more adoption programs.
I think so.
Because there are, I'll be honest with you, Jay, there are many, many, many parents in this country that do not deserve to have the children that they have.
I agree
and
with
the
that.
children that they have do not deserve the life that they are living.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
It's an every day is a struggle that a young child should not have to go through with a lot of these situations that they are in, and they would be better suited in different homes.
I remember my wife, she was doing some work with Lignum Vitae, and they do a lot of outreach programs in the different communities and what's on. And they need more funding. So plug, go and support them, right?
Lignum Vitae.
Lignum Vitae. And she was doing an outreach program. I wasn't there for this particular one. Sometimes once or twice I'll tag along and maybe do some photographic evidence for them to put on their blog or whatever. And I wasn't there, and Shar came home, and she was so dejected because this little girl that she was interacting with, she was like, I guess this was the most attention anybody had ever paid her. And she literally say, hi, miss, you don't want to adopt me. I can't go home with you. Like,
wow.
I mean, and it was such a brief interaction, but for a child. And this ain't this isn't a little baby. This is like maybe a 10, 11-year-old child.
Wow.
Wanting to get out of the situation that she was in to come home with someone that has shown her some sort of affection or attention for 10 to 15 minutes.
That is powerful. Incredibly powerful. And it speaks to what I think young people are lacking the most, and that is attention. And that feeling that someone actually cares about them and for them. Someone really cares about. Let me give you an example. My daughter, I think we are pretty active in her life. I think we pay her a great amount of attention, but she still yearns for more. More attention. And like I say, it's both parents, and I think we help her with homework. We had her on a trip with us. We've been away for the weekend. Take on, like, we spend time. And I admit, it could be more. But, you know, you're busy. You're trying to provide for your family.
Her,
you want to spend more time, but you really have to provide for your family. But can you imagine if my child receiving that amount of attention still has a strong, deep yearning for more? Can you imagine the children that are getting little to no attention from their parents?
Right.
And the amount of attention they must be seeking? And that probably ties back to the situation with the robbery and why these young men or women join gangs is because they finally run into someone that they feel cares for them and shows them attention, love, and affection. It may be in interesting ways, in bad ways, but they are showing them love and attention. So I think that's the number one thing that our children lack.
Neglect erodes over time, and it shows its ugly head. You know what I mean? So, like I said, this situation is so complex. Let's talk about the church. Right? And the church has a role to play. Whatever you fall in, Catholic, Anglican, whatever, you have a role to play because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to guide. Right? And I think too many of you guys sit and wait for Sunday to do things like that. I think there needs to be more awareness of if you do have after-school programming or outreach programs, you need to do a better job marketing it and involving the kids. You understand? I think you sit on your pulpit and you take the taxes and you don't pay the taxes to the government, and that's fine with you. And then when you're ready to rear your ugly head on gender equality bills, you come out in full support and all this other stuff, and you mum on everything else. So I think you guys need to pay more attention to the communities that you tax each and every Sunday. The church is closed. People can't go and find shelter. Only very few churches really do legit outreach, you know. Like, I mean, I ain't talking about the surface, do you know Jesus, does he make you happy bullshit. I'm talking about taking, like, and not cherry picking the good stuff that people donate to give to your good little members and then give the trash to someone else.
Me churches do that, man?
Yes.
See, but I don't go, so I don't know.
If I was to raid me and my wife closet and we have a little Banana Republic or whatever type of clothing now, the really, really good ones, going home and going to someone else that don't need it. And I know for a fact that they do it and they need to stop. And more churches and more organizations, like you see those guys that do the change thing. They have little houses. Sometimes they'd be on Montague and then on Shirley Street or whatever.
Yeah.
That is a legit organization that helps people with homes that have issues,
really?
battered women, all that good. Greg, they do.
Because I just give them the money and I don't know.
They do so much good work.
But we need to know about it.
They do.
I don't know about it.
I can't remember. It's something ambassadors. They do so much good work.
Yeah.
And it goes. People look at them as just pedal handlers. No. That money actually goes to housing people in need, homeless people that are temporary. And homeless is a state. It's a temporary state. And if people have a way to go and they could actually find gainful employment, they have someone to rest their head. That's what they do.
Yeah. I didn't know, and I still don't know like what they do.
more places like that we need more of them, and the funding that comes from social services and all the stuff needs to go to them.
Well, I think we need a complete shift in our mindset and our culture, and we've gotten to a point where, like I said earlier, we just so judgy, so judgmental. So feel like we better than other people, that we could talk down to this one and talk. And you know where I think where that comes from? Is it comes from a place of insecurity. I think we are a seriously insecure nation. Because only an insecure person gets some kind of fulfillment from talking down to or harshly criticizing someone else.
Yeah.
Someone that's insecure gets fulfillment from that. And so, because I try to build, I've been on a journey of being aware, being humble, and getting rid of all insecurities that I recognize. Because to me, insecurity is the root of all evil. In money, in these things that you hear people say, in my opinion.
Yeah, it goes way beneath the surface.
It's insecurity.
And it's that puppet master that pulls the string.
Money is just an object. You understand? Yeah. You want to be a money grabber because you're insecure about something.
And you feel like you need to buy your way to superiority.
Actually, right. At the core is insecurity. Right. So we need to deal with our insecurity in this country. And we need to shift our mindset and become more of a, and it may sound like, soft and cushy brotherhood, kumbaya, but we need to be together and be your brother's keeper, your neighbor's keeper. Because right now, there are a few people that know the name of their next door neighbor.
Yeah, and that's odd.
It is.
And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of it.
I've been guilty of this myself. But I recognize that. You know what helps is familiarity. You know, because if you're driving on the road and someone cut you off or do some illegal move in front of you or something, you want to catch the place now. But if you see that's your boy, you feel more lighthearted about it. Look at this clown doing fool on the road. You know what I mean? Like your whole mood changes simply because you know, familiar with that person, or you feel like this is a person that you know or whatever. So if we could have that kind of attitude towards each other, it would lower the stress levels. People wouldn't be as depressed. Now I know there are a lot of factors that contribute to that. Contribute to the depression, and it's legitimate. Yeah, it is. Because I go on the road like me. You and I, we don't work for people, right? Per se. So we don't have to do the regular 9 to 5. No. The rat race. The whole wake up early, go sit in traffic, go to a job you don't like, to sit in traffic to go back home. Yeah.
That's not our routine.
Listen to me. I don't know how people do that for a week, much less 20, 30, 40 years.
Conditioned for servitude.
But I see how it can make one person tense, angry, frustrated, depressed. I see how it can take a toll on you. You know what I mean? So that I'm not going to ignore that and pretend like that don't play a role in it. That plays a role. But I think we need to be more of a community and be less judgy and be more solution based. How do we fix this problem? Because I hate hearing people. We could identify problems all day, every day.
Yeah.
But we rarely have the solutions and actually take steps towards enacting these solutions or making these things happen.
You know why? Because not enough people are willing to take leadership roles. So we fall back until there is a leader, and then we follow blindly, and then we get caught up and get our feelings hurt and disappointment and all that other stuff.
You're throwing shade.
I'm not throwing shade. No, but that's real. That's real, right?
Yeah.
I think with the community, I grew up in Golden Gates, right?
Okay.
I knew before I left for the very first time at I think 18, 19, I knew basically everybody through the corner. The dynamic has changed and some people are still there. Some of the families are still there. I don't know as many because people moving and out or whatever the case may be. But I could see the erosion in that community. Now I moved in another community. And the only person I know is the person that lives right next door to me. I have an entire strip, all these different people. Maybe the guy next door because he delivers my water or whatever. But I don't know him on a first-name basis. You know, and that's where our community is going. And if it's bad now, it's going to be worse later. So I wouldn't say, Shar, you said something about community watch programs. That's for crime and element. I think we need more community. Oh, and this is where the MPs come in, you know, where they organize events, social events, for their constituencies to come together and fun and lightheartedness. You want to do a grill and chill leading up to the election only for the sex, but while you're an MP, have a grill and chill, not for F&Ms, not for PLPs, but for the people that live in that community and hear their concerns and have them talk to you. Have your listening tour throughout your reign as an MP, and that's what governments could do.
Yeah, and that's good. But then, well, the whole government thing, I think it'll take a whole restructuring of our system. I think our system don't really...
Not necessarily the entire restructuring. The little thing here there that people...
I think it'll take an entire restructuring. Because...
To help with the situation that happened?
Well, no, not to help, but to be able to be free to do a lot of the things that I feel need to be done, we'll have to restructure our system. Because our system isn't conducive to these things happening. Because it allows for too much things to be on these people's plate. You know what I mean? Where something like that is going to take time, dedication, focus, and you really have to, you know, dedicate your time to doing it. But as far as going back to the social issues is concerned, and like some of the environments, I saw a video. Some of the conditions what some people live in this country, Jay, it's like I wouldn't want a dog that bite me that I don't like to live in these conditions. Talking about the shanty towns, and a lot of people think, oh, Haitians live in... No.
There's only Bahamians living there too.
Bahamians live in shanty towns. A lot of people live in shanty towns. There was a video where, when I say, ain't no roof, like, if it rain, everything coming in there, they literally laying on the floor. They don't have no toilet. It's a bucket that they have to do whatever in. They are basically living in a prison-like environment. Matter of fact, prison might be better. I think Foxhill Prison might be better than a lot of these homes with some of these people coming from. You understand? So that's another aspect that we have to address and fix is housing. Why are people being allowed to live in these substandard housing that does not have running water, plumbing systems? Like, why are we allowing people to live in these conditions? You have them living like animals, and then you surprise when they act like it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know why we don't address it. But like you say, it maybe people don't care enough. Maybe people just want you to be functional enough so that you could vote for them when they don't give you one little piece of free food and have their grill and chill, give you some rum, one T-shirt, put one DJ on the back of the truck and bust you to a rally so they could get your vote. Maybe that's all they want you to be able to do.
Yeah, I think the level of investment, and especially with the housing aspect, there are communities that need regentrification. Not because we want to up the value of their property, but just to heighten their experience as human beings. So,
I know people don't like that term.
So I would say, I mean, if you could tug it out And I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen if we give you one of those fire music festival tents, tug it out, tug it out, tug it out in a nice, humane area.
Fire festival tents.
You tug it out for maybe 3 or so months while we build 3 to 4 months while we build up your area, and you come back. You know, but we have so many prominent people that are the slumlords for these apartment complexes and all this other stuff.
Listen, we have to deal with that because you're right.
We need an affordable housing act. I mean, we're not beyond the little mortgage corporation government home situation where people need decent rent assistance. So maybe because it's we're dealing with low minimum wage stuff like $210 a week or whatever. You have government units that are on rent basis because y'all in the business of making money, so let's not do that.
Right.
Where it's maintained and say the person pay a weekly rent of $100. You understand? And help them to get out. And you say, you know what? You only could be in this state for a lease of 2 to 3 years, and then you have to move on. So within that 2 and 3 years, you should, because we've given you this assistance, you should be able to better yourself, to move to something better, and you could sustain yourself.
Well, that sounds wonderful. But again, I think we need a shift in our mindset because for some reason, Bahamians feel entitled as hell.
Yeah.
They feel entitled to everything, right? And they also feel like they are unable to help themselves. Somebody always got to do something for them.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, that's the government. The government got to do this for me and got to do this and do that. And so we have to change people's mindset that, listen, you are responsible for you. Now, the government should be there to assist in special circumstances, and they are supposed to create environments to make it easier for you to provide for yourself, not directly be your daddy and give you what you need at your beck and call.
Yeah.
They are supposed to have, let's say for entrepreneurs, it's supposed to be a nice, simple process to get your business license. Nice, simple, not too many regulations are important, but not ridiculous regulations that are going to handcuff or handicap your business.
Yeah.
So they are supposed to create environments for their citizens to be able to thrive and do for themselves.
Agreed.
But we want to create this dependency, it seems.
Because
we want people out there with their hand out to them. You understand? So they could give them one little something, and then they could feel, like, oh, listen, you owe me
indebted to you,
exactly.
and I need that vote. Thanks.
That's our problem. So we got to shift that mentality.
Travis, we have to shift the culture.
Yes. Travis, break off running. Travis don't want to have these kind of discussions. But anyhow, I can call you out, Travis. Yeah, you ain't want to have these discussions. But we got to deal with those social aspects. And one that I talk about a lot, and I mean, people may not like it. You get tired of it, too bad. We have to stop flipping raising our children with violence and aggression. The amount of times I see people slapping up on their children, hitting up on their children, shoving up their children, pushing up their children, cursing their children out. I talking about the most ridiculous forms of abuse, and they don't see it as abuse. They see it as this discipline. This my child. Don't tell me.
And for simple things that children do because
simplest thing for being a child.
Yeah.
For being a child.
Yeah.
I in the food store. The woman in the trolley, she got a child in the trolley. This child, no more than 2 years old. That'll be 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
Picking up the groceries as a child. They just get these things. They see it coming out their body. They learning how to use these things. And they see new colors. Oh, what's this? Pick this up. They figuring out how to use their bodies, right? Yeah. So they picking up everything they could get their hands on. The mother frustrated. And this ain't to cast judgment on the mother. Right. I understand a lot of people going through stuff. She probably frustrated, working. Probably feels she underpaid. Might have been having a bad day. So it ain't to cast judgment on the parent. But yucking up the child, spanking the child, because they picking up groceries in the trolley and saying, you trying to test me today. You think the 2-year-old has crafted a diabolical scheme to get on your nerves and test your patience by picking up groceries in the car?
But you know what I summed it up as is cowardice, a level of cowardice, because you're not, for the person that's really frustrating you and testing you, you're not man or woman enough to confront them to get what you want. So when you have an easier target, you take it out on them, and sadly that's a lot of it. There's a fine line between discipline and whether you agree or disagree with disciplining children, like from a physical aspect of it. There's a fine line between disciplining a child and abusing a child, and I think we're so far to abuse now.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
And you know what gets me? What I don't understand is how people can't seem to, well, let me not say can't, they choose not to understand the correlation between being violent and aggressive and abusive verbally and physically with children, and how that can translate and go move with them into their adult lives and rear its ugly head later on as aggression.
Because it's conditioning. Here's the thing: muscle memory is real, right?
Oh,
if you do
definitely.
something long enough, consistently enough, it becomes effortless.
Yes,
and you
natural.
repeat it with, it's like an involuntary action.
Yep.
So if you curse at your child in a high pitched voice and you slap them in their back, punch them in their back, wheel their ass or whatever brings you justification, and you call it discipline. When that child becomes 15, 16, that's how he's going to interact with his peers.
Not even that.
And then he's going to interact with you in that way.
Not even that long.
No,
You see that? I see that with my let me tell you something, Jay. Wait, look here. Listen, being a parent that's the most education you can receive is when you become a parent, my brother. Because you learn some new things about life and human beings when you're a parent and you actually paying attention, right? You gone too far.
I went that far for that's when it matures and it rears its ugly head.
And can potentially be what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But I've seen my daughter react exactly how she's seen us react. Like when because I don't spank or hit or none of that. But, I came up getting beaten and cut up and all of that and getting talked to bad. And so like you just explained, muscle memory, it is almost like a natural reaction. So I still have to fight off a lot of the harsh or aggressive tones, speaking aggressively.
Yeah, and it comes with reconditioning yourself.
Yeah, and so I'm guilty of still doing that from time to time, being, maybe loud or aggressive or rough when I speak to her. And you see them mimicking the very same actions. Right away. From 2 years old, 3 years old, it don't even get that far. So, like you described, all it does is they are becoming professionals at it, and it manifests itself in adult life or teenage life, like you said, 15, 16. You see them being aggressive towards their classmates or whatever, they hitting each other or whatever, and you have fights and these kind of things in school because this is all they know.
Right.
Mommy been doing it to me, daddy been doing it to me, Grammy been doing it to me, all the people I love been doing it. This is how I supposed to react in this situation. That's all I know. But then people don't want to fathom or accept that is a reality. They play like, no, it ain't that.
If you look at it and you accept that, if you acknowledge that, right, that's a good thing. In this way, before people think I'm absolutely fucking stupid, you could take that learning behavior and put the positives with that. So just like kids are sponges, 3 years old, instead of old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, which is entertaining. Once they have that foundation, move on to some other stuff and build that character, build that framework instead of the superficial, stupid shit.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
There's no number less than 0. Really? You know how baffling it was for me to go to private school in grade 7 and tell someone, that's wrong. There's no number less than 0. No, Christopher Columbus sailed this way to discover the new world, and that was his intent. The lies that are taught.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes.
Stop it. Seriously, stop it.
Confidently wrong. People wrong with confidence in this country.
Let's learn mechanics. Let's learn not the mechanics like physical thing. I know like IT mechanics and all that stuff. Let them learn the muscle memory in that when they're between the grades of 1 and 6, and then when we move on and evolve the program, we could go in more detail.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's run through some of these comments. Natalia Munnings Roll says, "How was vacation, Mr. Corley? Did you enjoy the air show?" Yes, Natalia, I had a relaxing weekend outside at the time I most killed myself. I told the story on the Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast where I go on to dive in the water, something tell me front flip, it going wrong, I land on my neck, most break my neck and back. But outside of that, it was a good vacation. I had a good time, got some well-needed rest. So thank you for asking. It was a good vacation. Crystal says, I agree. This was earlier, so I guess something we said she agreed with. And she also confirmed that the child was 15 years old. Lakeitra says, good points, Jay. We got to diversify education tactics. I agree completely. That whole boring writing on the chalkboard, go to this page in the textbook, when you go home, read this chapter. That whole way of trying to teach people is ridiculous, and it is not engaging and cheering into that.
Yeah, there's something called Google Docs. Stop teaching children to type on typewriters and let them use laptops and tablets.
Man, please, let's move forward. My goodness. Charles F. Burns says business entrepreneurship. I think that's when we were
talking about the different subjects to introduce in school.
Yeah, in school, Business and entrepreneurship would be a good subject that I would second putting in schools. E-commerce and internet-based business. That's also another good one. Shah says the BGCSE needs a total overhaul. I guess we could agree with that too.
Yeah.
That should focus. Well, that should be the focus for early years. I can't remember exactly what she was referring to, but she also says parents are often so worried about making sure their 2-year-old kids know how to count and say the alphabet, but it's more important to teach them how to use their imaginations through play and socialize in a kind and respectful way.
Yeah.
I would have.
While we're talking about that, using our imagination and helping them if we so heavily we like to bring in consultants, right? But we bring in consultants for the wrong things. Yes. I would say the Minister of Education, I think it'll be a wise investment for us to invest in some consultants from Finland. They have a very excellent educational program. Let's see if we could introduce their great practices in our system from grade 1 up.
Yes, most definitely. Shah says there should be more mentorship programs. We spoke on that earlier. She also says Lignum Vitae Community Bahamas is doing an awesome job with their 4-H programs, but they could use more funding, which you said earlier as well. Lakitra said, ain't no law for y'all. Kill myself laughing. No, ain't no law for us. You ain't got time for that.
Urka. Hi.
Who that is? And Shah said it was heartbreaking. I guess this was the story you told with the child. Yeah, that is very heartbreaking. I mean, to be around a child for a short period of time and they just come right out and ask you to adopt them, that tells you that they are dealing with some serious issues. And I don't think we pay close to enough attention to the homes that a lot of these kids are coming from. You would be surprised to see them function in the way they do if you would have learned the background where they come from. So we have some strong students, but like you said, they're just not being heard.
Yeah.
We're not talking to them on a level to where they can communicate freely, tell us what they're going through, tell us their aspirations, what they want from life, what they want to do. We're not paying attention to them.
Yeah. And I think let me add to the program that I want to talk about, coupled with actual trained psychologists to come along with us. So every time we do a forum, have someone in there in case something does come out, those children could have an avenue to have someone professionally talk to them. At the government expense.
Yeah.
We got to spend money to help fix this problem.
Yeah. And
I don't want it for me. I want it for the kids.
And even if it isn't at the government expense, I mean, we have a lot of wealthy people in this town. I mean, y'all stop freaking wasting money. Well, let me not say wasting. That's your money. You can do what you want with it. But if you want to contribute to society, you want a better society, a safer society, take some of that money you throwing away on whatever you're doing with the gambling, buying fresh cars, or taking trips. I like taking trips. I can't knock you for that. But
taking trips to the islands.
If you throwing your money away, or you could, you have some money to spare, put it in these programs that are trying to help, develop our society. Shah says, I asked her why she would say that, and she said, my mommy don't really check for me like that. Wow. She said churches should run parenting classes. Not even just churches, but
I think parenting classes are needed.
Parenting classes are needed. And you know what I used to say? Maybe we shouldn't label it as parenting classes. Because what I recognize is that parenting is such a touchy subject that people get defensive when you either suggest or recommend that they do, quote, classes. They feel like, well, what you trying to do? What? You're trying to tell me I can't teach? I mean, I'm no good parent, or I need to learn. So maybe if we can have activities like you suggested earlier, instead of a grill and chill, how about fun activities where parents bring their children.
Fun days.
And you have them on teams.
Yeah.
And you get them like
the pillow sock and all that.
Yeah. Or just certain activities to where they have to interact with each other.
Yep.
And it can be, you can almost interject your parenting lessons within those social activities. And they wouldn't even know that they're learning these things because it's so fun and engaging.
But I think actually parenting class, that's a great way. as well to catch those people that feel that they don't need it, but they need more time with their kids. But parenting classes are needed, and I would like to see it implemented for those on these social programs, social services programs, where they go for government assistance and their kids are in problems or whatever. That means you do need something, and you need to pass out and grasp something, even if it has to be forced as a prerequisite for you to get this assistance.
Right, right. Most definitely. Kyra Knowles says it's what they allow. They won't stand up and demand better. Well, Kyra, I don't think she means, if I'm not mistaken, the parents that are in certain conditions or situations. To a certain degree, yes, Kyra, you are correct, but you have to take into consideration that a lot of people are broken mentally.
Yes.
Mentally broken. So they may not feel like they deserve better. You know what I mean?
Like I said, if you only condition for option A, B, C, you don't know about D, E, F.
Yeah, a lot of people are in certain situations where they probably feel they don't deserve better. And then Kyra says, back to Shah's comment, parenting classes are needed. Yes, we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think you have to
trick people.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even tricking them.
It is
but
tricking them, Greg.
No, because here's what it is. It goes back to like what we were describing earlier with schools, right? You ain't tricking the students by changing the way you teach them. By making
you just engaging them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it ain't tricking them. You just making the necessary adjustment to make the program as effective as possible.
Yeah.
So that's what the same thing we need, the same reform we need within our school system, we need within our social services department. And that's why I think they should change the name from social services to social development.
Yes.
Because we need social development in this country.
I agree
as
with
opposed
that.
to services. You know
I could agree with that.
Because services is like, I'm here to serve you and do whatever you please, give you a handout or whatever. That's what services implies to me, and I feel a lot of people. But if you have a Ministry of Social Development, then we can start to focus on these programs to develop the family, develop our society the way it should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that'll be a change, and it's just a name, but you'd be surprised to the big difference a name change could make.
So all those MPs, well, seeing that the Free National Movement has the majority with 35, and I think you still get the allowances for your communities, right?
$100,000.
What?
A year, $100,000 a year.
Per year?
Per year. Each MP gets $100,000 a year for their constituency, for whatever they see fit to spend within that constituency.
Well, I would like to see either monthly or quarterly fun days where parents bring out their kids to interact with their kids. Not drop off and go in the bouncing castle or just get face paint, and actually have quality time where if you come out whatever and there's some certain prize or whatever the case may be, incentivize it, think outside of the box, but have it on a consistent basis throughout the next 5 years, and you'll see, and maybe it might get you some votes because you're visible.
Well, don't think about the votes.
I don't know. I gotta be a win-win for everybody.
I know what you mean, but if you focus on votes, then I think you are already starting off wrong. But we can wrap this one up. We've been here for over an hour. Jay, gone that fast. Good conversation. And notice, we ain't focusing on sensationalizing that situation that took place. We want solutions.
Yeah.
We want to fix the issue. And we want to fix it at the core and at the root. And I think too often we having the wrong kinds of conversations. And I mean, I don't want to, that's for lack of a better term or framing. I don't want to call it the wrong conversation because, in some cases it is, let's be honest. Because people are just sensationalizing, they're talking about the wrong things. But we need to put more focus on the core issues and how we got to this point and how we can get ourselves out of this point and stop being so judgy, man, and pointing fingers. Like that, the purpose of a dialogue, in my opinion, when it comes to these situations, should be to work towards a solution and fixing a problem, fixing an issue, as opposed to just diagnosing a problem. Sure, diagnosing is important because you have to diagnose a problem in order to fix it. Sure, that's important. But don't let that be the sole focus. You diagnose it, you point finger, and then you move on to whatever else to find somebody else to blame for something else. So, good conversation about that issue. I know we didn't spend a lot of time on it because we don't have a lot of the details.
Yeah.
It just happened yesterday.
Right.
Very unfortunate. Our hearts go out to the families of not only the young gentleman that lost his life, but the other ones that were involved. and the people that were in that store, because
That's
must
a
be
very traumatic experience.
very traumatic experience. You in there shopping, you can go buy some Jolly Rancher or one Vitamalt or something, and all of a
Get
sudden,
your medication and
your
that's it.
medication, they run up in there with guns and tie you up.
And young children that don't have, like, use your term, emotional intelligence, that could have been an ugly situation.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a whole lot worse. So we want to say that our hearts go out to those, anyone that was involved, the cashiers, the shoppers, the families of the young men, or everyone that was involved or directly affected. You know, our heart goes out to you, and hopefully we can work towards eradicating these kinds of situations from taking place in the country. And the only way we're going to do it is by having these conversations, but not only having these conversations, but actually taking the actions needed to bring reform, to bring a shift in our mindset that we desperately need in this country. Because I can tell you the truth, if y'all like what's going on, or if you want to see it continue, then carry on doing what you've been doing.
Yep.
Because it can just continue.
Yes.
But if you really want it to change, then you have to take that responsibility to make the necessary change in your mindset and your approach and the way you handle situations, instead of just pointing fingers, because blaming don't accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
Don't accomplish nothing. So look yourself in the mirror, make the necessary changes if you don't want to see young men get shot down in the streets for going in the store and stealing cigarettes and petty cash.
Yeah.
It ain't worth it. Don't make no sense.
Yep.
So, on that note, thank you, Jay. I know it's last minute, just a day. Oh, that's the wrong day. We normally record on Thursday, but, you know, I busy. We do the other podcast today. I say, I ain't coming in here for 2 days to do 2 different shows.
Yeah.
Whatever day I come, or 2 shows getting do.
Exactly.
So we just did the Entrepreneur podcast before this, so we had to knock this one out too on a Wednesday. But the people that listen to the actual podcast on SoundCloud, don't matter to them. They just listen on their own time anyhow. But for the people on Facebook, if you missed it because you're looking for us tomorrow, we apologize.
We'll share it.
But it's there. You know, the wonderful thing about these live videos, you
still
can
there.
watch it. They still there.
Yeah.
So you could go right there. You could still watch it tomorrow if you're used to watching it on a Thursday. Go right there on the page. The video will be right there. I'll pin it to the top of the page so you could watch it. You can still leave your comments. We'll try to go through, and, you know, maybe Jay could reply, because, boy, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't got time to go through a bunch of comments.
I had someone.
I tried to.
I did a
but
live video one time, and it was, you know, it was a playback, and he was talking like I was talking to him at the time. That was the funniest thing.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So he was watching a repeat, but you were reacting, and he thought it was like live. Okay, let's see. Hey, listen. Go right there on the page, Under the Rug Podcast on Facebook, if you want to watch us live. For those that listen on SoundCloud, you could watch us live on Facebook, facebook.com/Under the Rug Podcast. And you can follow us there. Like I said, I'll pin the video to the top for those that are looking for it tomorrow. So once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Jay, for coming in on short notice. Always a pleasure.
Always.
Great discussion. And until next time, people, stop being judgy. Look here, if you want a better nation, take the necessary actions and apply the change. If you want things to remain the same and the violence to continue to increase, then carry on smartly. But I know I want to change. I want to see, so I can start with myself, and I can, you know, implement the things that I feel I need to do to have a better nation. So thank you, and until next time.